Yes.
All right. So today we will have Renato Juaçaba with us, and he's going to be presenting identifier.org, which is a resolution service that provides consistent access to life science data using compact identifiers. So the floor is yours, Renato. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes. So yeah, I've just been recently added to the team at identifiers.org, and I'm handling the day-to-day activities, as I said before, the development, curation, and etc. So I wanted to begin just going through real quick the background of EMBL-EBI. I don't know if everyone is familiar, but we are Europe's home for biological data services, research and training, and we are considered a trusted data provider for life sciences. As part of EMBL, we are this intergovernmental research organization with international members from different nations, and we are home to the Elixir Technological Hub. But I guess for this presentation, we are more interested that it's home to identifiers.org, which our mission, as you said before, identifiers.org, we provide persistent identifiers and services to enable the consistent access to scientific data. We split our services into two. So we have our registry, which has this curated resources of mostly life science data collections with its descriptive metadata and access metadata. And together with that, we have the resolver, which uses this registry to find the final URL and other information for the specific compact identifiers that we use to identify our data. And these compact identifiers are basically our main tool, which are the persistent globally unique IDs, which follow the idea that each data collection is going to have a prefix, which is going to be unique in our registry. We call them these namespaces. And the local IDs, which are local to each data collection. And they are in the format of prefix column local ID. And to give an example, entity is one of our namespaces. Basically, you can take in the column, second column, you can take the compact identifier, send it to our resolver, and the resolver is going to use the information on the registry to find the final URL, which is on the right side. On a more complex situation, such as PDB, which can be found through RCSB or through EBI. And our resolver is going to use its own scoring function, which is based on the uptime of these resources to find the best URL to redirect. So you can see there is also the example of DOI and ORCID, and you basically can see that our registry has several URL patterns, which it's going to use the local ID of each data to fit into to find the final URL for it. And from these URLs, it's going to pick the best one based on the internal scoring of the resolver. And these compact IDs can be used by any paper. So if there is a paper that you want to publish, you can simply write on the text the compact identifiers with the links to the identifiers.org, which is basically identifiers.org/ the compact identifier. And this is going to link to the final, to the actual location of that data, which can change, but the identifiers.org link is never going to change, hopefully, I guess. We just had a case like this where one of our namespaces changed completely, and we had to change the resource. So this happens every now and then, and we have to change. That's the curation process, basically. So this can be used by several journals as you want. So just to reiterate, we have the two services: the registry, which is the centralized database, which is created by us and collects the descriptive metadata, very basic descriptive metadata, and the URL patterns for each namespace. and the resolver, which uses the information on the registry to find the final link, to find the best link to answer each request for each compact identifiers. And these can be used separately. You can collect the data on the registry if you want to do the resolution yourself, or you can use the resolver to find the final link in the end. Just going through the interface real quick, we have on our website this autocomplete form to resolve compact identifiers. We have the registry pages with also another autocomplete for the different namespaces to search for the namespaces, existing namespaces, or you can browse through them. If you want to add something new to the registry, you can make a request for a prefix or for a resource, which is basically this alternative URL for the same namespace. And whenever someone makes a request, basically anyone can make a request, not necessarily the managers of some collection have to do it. This falls on our curation dashboard, which we basically check if everything is okay before we accept or reject. We have our documentation pages with information on everything, more specifically the web services. So everything is available to use. We have our RESTful API for collecting to accessing this information. You can also access through our Java library, and basically everything is on GitHub. If you want to use the code, if you want to have a look at the code, everything is there. We have everything hosted on Google Cloud and on Kubernetes, basically microservices. And everything is available so that if you want to deploy your own, you can. We do recommend, if you want to deploy it, to deploy only the resolver, which that's replicable and can use the same registry as us. We are one of the Alex's recommended interoperability resources, and we are working together with EOSC for following their fair practices, basically. Going forward, we're continuing the work on keeping the registry accurate and healthy. Currently, it's very manual and community-driven, so we count on the community to find issues and to work with us to solve these issues. We are hoping to soon be more automated, but for now, that's how it works. And we are hoping to align ourselves more with the fair practices, more specifically, more soon, I guess, with the tombstones. But we're also studying some interoperability and some user statistics, which we don't have right now. So just finishing up with the people involved and the funding. And thank you very much for this opportunity. Here's my email under my name if you want to communicate with me. And if you want to talk with the whole team, you can just email identifiers.org at EBI. I'm finished.
All right, thank you, Renato. Thank you very much for the short presentation. So, are there any questions from anyone?
Maybe
if not, I do have a question, which is what are the mechanisms that you have to ensure that, for instance, the long-term persistence of these identifiers? Because is there a consortium, for instance, of companies that will make sure that if, I don't know, the main entity behind identifiers.org goes away, these identifiers will still keep resolving or something like that?
So there is, well, I guess we're asking two things. First, if identifiers.org is going to stay online for a while, that's always the issue, right? Even the EOS people have this problem because no one knows if the money is going to keep coming. At the moment, we are part of the Fair Impact project, so we should be fine for a while. The good thing about identifiers for now is that it's a very lightweight service. We try to keep it very lightweight. And that's something that is not very costly to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that these things will help, but yeah, we're doing our best.
Mm-hmm. Right, because well, if you want to make sure that people will trust the service, then these are questions that need to be answered. No, so I remember, for instance, there is this other persistent identifier service which is called w3id.org, no, which was a community working group from W3 from W3C, but there is a mini consortium of companies that claim, hey, if something happens, we will put the money to continue to make sure that it continues, right? So of course the scope is completely different because that's a little bit more open. Everybody does their own content negotiation and so on. And this one is a little bit more curated and so on, which is an unique added value that I think is great. But having that insurance of long-term preservation would be very, very important for the project, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, as I said, like we are trying our best to maintain, and again, it's a quite the lightweight service. It's being used a lot. I don't have statistics because that's something that we're trying to have now, but it's used a lot by the community, and we don't have a lot of let's say costs with it. It's for the amount of people using it, it's quite the lightweight service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that worst case we can try to find some how do I call this some hosting service to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
The creation will be done, I guess, more slowly, but in terms of actual money costs, I suppose it's not so bad.
Mm-hmm. Hervé, I see that you have your hands up.
Yes, so I had a question for Renato. Can you tell me what a tombstone record is exactly?
So sometimes data is going to go out, so it's going to stop being offered online. So what we are calling now in the fair practices is to put a tombstone record there. So instead of going out and just getting a 404 on a request, you basically put a landing page there with information on this thing that left. So that should have a lot of information on it, such as who was managing it, if there is someone that I can contact about it, why it's not there anymore, things like this. So this is what we call a tombstone record. And this is not super well defined. It is still something that people are discussing what has to be there and what not. But we are trying to put it because right now identifiers only can deactivate the namespaces, and this only puts this notice on top and a date that we deactivated it, so it doesn't give any more information. So that's just a small, let's say, not so big addition, but it's something that we should have.
Okay. How do you have any automated mechanism to detect that some kind of resource has gone away?
So yeah, so for each namespace we have is a sample ID. And with the sample ID, basically you have a sample of one link that should work in that namespace. So we have code for people have done before this code to go there and check everything, check one link for each namespace. But this is not being done on a regular basis, also because we had some limitations on before. But that's something that we want to put online again to do this automated checking so that we can be more active. Because right now, as I said, we are depending on the community.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Well, I think the idea of having a tombstone is great because, as I put in the chat, I usually rely on Internet Archive for
Yes.
for that, right? So having some sort of at least information on what was this and what was the intention, who maintained it, very, very important.
Yeah.
Indeed. And also you are as a curator, right? As a curation service, if someone wants to update a record, you need to know who owns it to make sure that you can authorize the change and so on, I guess.
We actually had bad problems with that, because that's another thing that we have to create, is the person, the contact person. So not right now, we're not really keeping the information on a specific person. We keep trying to see if there is a contact page or email or like a general thing for this, for the system, for the provider. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So are there any other questions? If not, then Tom, can we stop the recording right now?